Hi, you're listening to the Fresh Start Podcast, and this is episode number 28. Hey, everyone. The Fresh Start Podcast with Marcia and Stacy. I'm Marcia, and hi, Stacy.
And I'm Stacy.
Obviously, yeah. It's been a day, right?
It's been a week, and it's been a year.
It's been a year. Right. I know. Just when you think things can't get any crazier,
they do.
They seem to get crazier. Yeah. What's going on in your world?
Just the regular. I mean, there's lots of good stuff that's happening. It's kind of a busy time, and we have, the new dog too, which is fun.
Mm-hmm.
Getting to know her. So
wait a minute. I have a question. I saw you sent her to a training camp or something.
Yeah, this was a big. It almost broke me because we got her. She's almost a 4-year-old. We didn't know at the time, but she's mostly foxhound. And we got her from the Humane Society, so we adopted her. Absolutely sweet, just a sweet, adorable, loving dog. I get her home, and she's a puller, so we're working with her on commands and all that stuff. Well, one night I take her out, and I didn't realize that I had hooked her leash on her collar instead of her no-pull harness.
Oh.
So I just made that mistake, leaning over and looking for the thing, and I clipped it, and I just clipped it on the wrong little D-ring thing. So anyway, I'm outside walking her, and she hears something and starts trying to go to get it. And she had this maneuver she did where she backed up, and suddenly she knew she was on her collar, and she knew what to do. Like, she backed out of her collar and she took off running at 9:15 p.m.
Oh, no.
And Maggie and I were outside, and Maggie was in house shoes, and she took off after her and ran through the neighborhood. And I got in the car, and it took probably, 30 minutes of trying to find her, but I found her on the main drag, outside of our neighborhood.
Oh, no.
And she was running back and forth across traffic, just having the time of her life.
Oh.
And I pulled over. I'm surprised I didn't get hit, honestly. In the middle of traffic, I got her to come to me, and I grabbed her and threw her in the car, and I got home, and we were just so zapped and drained from that. And I looked online and said, I've got to find someone that can, because I that's above my pay grade.
Yeah.
Totally. So I found a 2-week board and train, and she's like a new dog. So
I got to find one. I mean, we love our dogs, but especially one in particular is just, so it really worked.
He's a runner. Yeah, it worked. Yeah, when I met your little guy, he had taken off. Remember when I pulled up to your house? Yeah. He was on a run. Yeah.
Yeah, he will, if that door is cracked and someone isn't got a hold of him, he just takes off. And last year he got attacked by a hawk after he took off and almost died. And so but it's really, really hard. And when I saw that you were and I've talked to a couple other people who have done those board and trains. So because I hear so much about training with dogs and stuff that they're really training the owner to do the right things, but there's got to be something more to it. And about training the dog. So I'm curious. We'll have to talk a little bit more of that off camera. That. I need to see if maybe that's something we can do. Well, we have a great guest on today, Namaste Anderson. She is the co-founder of BRA, which is Breast Cancer Recovery in Action. And she's here to talk today about a side effect of cancer treatment called lymphedema. It's an informative and important conversation. I hope you will all stay tuned. That's coming up. But before we bring on Namaste, I have something I want to Talk. I want to get your thoughts on.
I wish people could see your face right now. They can go out to YouTube, I guess, and see your face.
Well,
You have
it's
sassy face.
it's Holy Week. It's Holy Week, and I'm trying to be
Holy.
as best I can. But I something happened this week and I can't shake it, and I want to get your take on it. It's bothered me so much that they had this religious gathering on Palm Sunday at the White House, and Trump spoke, if you want to call it speaking. He was talking about how on Palm Sunday, where Jesus came to Jerusalem, walked into Jerusalem. He was reading it because clearly he doesn't know the story. He was trying to read the story, and he said, that he came in and the people were worshiping him and calling him king, and he was like, "People call me king now. Can you believe it?" Like, oh, and then he was like, I think he said something like, "If I really was king, I could get a lot more done." And everybody was laughing, and I'm like, why are people joking about this? It's just, it's not even funny. But the thing that really bugged me is his spiritual advisor, if you want to call her that, Paula White Kane. She was talking about Trump, and I want to read what she said. This is her quote. She said, "Mr. President, no one has paid the price like you have paid the price. It almost cost you your life. You were betrayed and arrested and falsely accused. It's a familiar pattern that our Lord and Savior showed us, but it didn't end there for him, and it didn't end there for you. God always had a plan. On the third day he rose, he defeated evil, he conquered death, hell, and the grave. Because he rose, we all know we can rise. And sir, because of his resurrection, you rose up. Because he was victorious, you were victorious. And I believe that the Lord said to tell you this, because of his victory, you will be victorious in all you put your hand to." What the what? I mean, how does that make you feel when you hear that? Like, and the follow-up question is, how do you think Christians can accept this kind of blasphemy? It's blasphemy.
It is. It is kind of maddening, and I think my initial reaction is it's just a joke, and it is hard to imagine how people can listen to that from her and think that it's real. And
I guess it's real to them.
Well, yeah, it's harder to then recognize that there are a lot of people that do believe that. So, I just think more and more we just see how divided we are in so many different ways. And this is one way, but it's such a manipulative way to use scripture. And if you want to call what she does prophetic, which I don't, but she's using what she calls prophecy to manipulate. Yeah. And who knows, he's just as manipulated as everyone else, because I think he thinks that that's all true, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, he said in another clip I saw of him talking this week that he was telling somebody how much he liked him, and he said, "I'm easily seduced." He said, "I know I shouldn't be, but if someone's nice to me, I love them. I'll do anything. I'll fight to the end for them, even if they're a bad person." Okay, at least
we find out lots and lots about him the more he's able to talk off script. Yeah.
Well, we talk a lot about the political divide today, but what hurts my heart the most is the divide in Christianity, and how people are saying, well, those people aren't real Christians. And it comes from both sides. I mean, and everyone, I guess, has their reasoning for that. But it's really concerning for me to see somebody like that professes the gift of prophecy and professes Christianity and uses it, like you said, to manipulate and to actually try to influence political power, because Jesus was so I mean, he was political on one hand, but he never used his power to manipulate. And even when he was arrested and falsely accused, he didn't fight it.
And he didn't call himself, he didn't ride through and say, "Yeah, I'm the king."
Right.
Right.
Yeah, he was this humble servant that we should all try to emulate. And it really hurts my heart to see people championing. I can't talk today. Champion, dad gummit,
Yes.
that
Yes.
word,
That word.
championing this type of religious hypocrisy. It
And
really, really hurts my heart.
and when you said it's coming from both sides, I think that we just need to give that up. I just think we need to say there's just different forms of Christianity at this point.
Maybe
There's
you're right.
just this empty tomb variety is one of the forms of Christianity, and it is what it is. And I think it's always existed, and it's just more in the spotlight now and in the political spotlight. But it's been developing, right, since in the
Yeah.
80s, I think pretty clearly. And we're just sowing what we, reaping what's it? Sowing what we've reaped what we've sown. I don't know. Whichever it is, it's championing.
Well, yeah, it's been difficult for me. And I haven't, I'm actually going to go to church this Sunday because I found a church that I really like. And it'll be the first time I've been in church on Easter in a few years. And I'm glad to be going, but I don't think it's going to be we are having a Easter egg hunt after church for the kids, but I don't think it's going to be, I'm anxious to see what it's going to be actually, because this church that I've been going to is very different from other churches that I've been to that have celebrated Easter. So, but do you have any plans to celebrate Easter on Sunday?
I do not. So I'm out of town, and I'm going to be doing some beekeeping.
Oh, I love that.
So
Taking care
I
of
won't.
God's animals.
I will. I'll be looking at queens, not kings.
Well, you have fun with your queens. And I'll pray for you at church Sunday morning.
Thank you. Thank you. I need it. Clearly. Champion me to the Most High, please.
You can say that word. I'm so proud of you. Well, we'd love to know your thoughts. We are out on social media. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. Find us. Let us know what you guys are thinking about, what you'd like us to talk about here on the Fresh Start podcast. We do have some cool guests coming up. But we really want to talk about things you guys are interested in. So let us know what is on your heart and on your mind these days, and we will do our best to talk about it. But I think we're going to go ahead and get into our guest because she has a really interesting story, and one that I think is something, it's unique. I've never heard anything about lymphedema, but she spells it out, and I think it's really an important conversation. So let me just introduce Namaste. I want to read her bio before we bring her on. Namaste Anderson serves as the executive director of Breast Cancer Recovery in Action, which we recently had Jahan and Lynn, who are they run the Breast Cancer Recovery in Action podcast. Y'all should check that out. And they were awesome. We talked a lot about breast cancer. But today we've got Namaste talking about lymphedema. As the co-founder of BRA and a breast cancer survivor herself, she is deeply committed to ensuring that no survivor navigates recovery alone. That's what BRA is all about. She was diagnosed with breast cancer at the age of 28, and she brings a uniquely personal perspective to her leadership. Since that time, she's walked alongside many survivors as a mentor and advocate, both informally and in a professional role, supporting women through treatment, recovery, and life beyond diagnosis. Her lived experience shapes her approach to leadership, grounding BRA's work in empathy, love that word, resilience, and authentic community. Since helping launch BRA in 2021, Namaste has played an integral role in developing its survivor-centered programming and strengthening community partnerships. As executive director, she now leads strategic planning, organizational development, and mission advancement, guiding BRA through a thoughtful transition toward a sustainable and future-focused governance model. Namaste is called Nashville home since 2002. She holds a Master of Education degree from the College of William and Mary and a Bachelor's of Arts degree from Virginia Commonwealth University. She resides in Williamson County with her husband and enjoys hiking, reading, traveling, and spending time with her 2 adult daughters. If you want to know more about BRA groups, you can go to www.bragroups.org. If you know anyone that's been diagnosed with breast cancer that needs some help, they're the folks. So I'm glad you're here, Stacy. Thanks for the chat. And you always make me feel like I'm not crazy.
You are not crazy. And if you are, that means I am too, and we can just be crazy together.
Well, there's community. There's strength in numbers. All right, you guys, hang on, and we'll be right back with Namaste Anderson. Well, welcome, Namaste. We are so happy to have you here with us today on the Fresh Start podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I met you at the BRA Groups fundraiser back in the fall, and that was a beautiful event, and got to know some of the ladies involved with that. And Judy Rodriguez was one of the ladies, and she reached out to let me know that March was a special month for you guys. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yes.
And so we wanted to have you on and talk about that specific topic. But before we get into that, will you just introduce yourself? We read your bio a minute ago, but just introduce yourself to our listeners and just let them know what life is like for Namaste Anderson right now.
Thank you. I will. Life is busy. In a different way. I think most people can relate to that. Well, first off, I'm enjoying a beautiful spring day, and I'm happy that we're transitioning out of cold into warm.
Yes.
I am here in Nashville. My family, we moved here about 20 years ago to raise our 2 daughters who are now young adults. They're 24 and 23.
Aww.
And I just returned from California where I was visiting my oldest daughter. She's been living out there for about 6 years. So miss her when she's gone, but really just love the opportunity to spend some time with her. I've replaced my adult children with a fur baby who is in the room with me, and hopefully will be quiet, but a little dachshund beagle mix. And we call her our baby because she's so spoiled, but
yeah,
we adore her. And so that's a little bit about me. I love being outside, especially if it includes water. So I'm gearing up for the summer because that's a little more my season, and happy to be here today.
Good. Do you have a pool? You ready for it with a pool?
I don't have a pool. I keep telling my husband I need one, and actually relate to the topic we're talking about. That's one of the ways you can manage this condition that we're going to talk about. So I tell him I need it for medical reasons.
Oh, there you go.
All for it.
Sounds like a write-off to me.
Ladies. I am not giving up. I really want a pool.
Hey, we just got a little one. It's like a little above ground for the grandkids, and we're putting it up here pretty soon. It's not quite time to put it up, but just something to dunk in. It gets so hot here in Nashville. Of course, Stacy's in Florida, so when I complain about hot, she just rolls her eyes.
I believe it. Stacy, is it warm down there already?
It is, but we're in that part of the year where it's cold in the mornings and warm in the afternoons, and I love that.
That was LA when I was just out there. Same thing. I forgot to bring a sweatshirt. I had to borrow my daughter's because I was freezing in the morning and at night and sweating in the middle of the day.
Yes. And you and I have a daughter that's the same age. So my daughter's also 24.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're like gone, but not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She lives with me. So she's literally not gone.
My 23-year-old's about to graduate from college and is moving back in for a period of time. And I
love it.
I'm excited about it, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
She's very helpful.
Oh,
plus I might eat better.
Listen, our son, he was about to move out when COVID hit in 2020. Mm-hmm. So it delayed it, but he was with us till he was like 26. And We loved it. He was great. We could go anywhere we want, and he was home to watch the dogs.
That's exactly
Keep the
what I
house
keep
out. Yeah.
telling her. That's
Yeah.
exactly the thing. I'm like, oh, we're so excited to have you. She's like, really? I said, yes, you can watch the dog. Your dad. I'm like, this wrong.
So we're here to talk about Lymphedema Awareness Month, right? Lymphedema.
Yes.
Let's talk about what that is and just educate us a little bit about that.
I would love to.
Okay.
Lymphedema is a chronic condition that affects over 10 million people in the United States. It is, once you have it, you always have it. There's no known cure for it currently. They're working on that. 90% of the people that do have lymphedema, it is a result of a cancer treatment. So it's not exclusively like our organization works predominantly with breast cancer survivors. That's not to say it's breast cancer survivors specifically, but it typically is a result of cancer treatment from radiation or from lymph node removal, sometimes from treatments. It just depends what can affect your system. And it's also something a lot of people think happens immediately, and that is not always the case. Myself, for example, when I was diagnosed with breast cancer when I was 28 years old, I had a mastectomy and then chemotherapy and then radiation. And part of how they did that staging and in the process this is not how they do it currently, thank goodness, but it's still related, is they would take a section of your lymph nodes and they would look at those lymph nodes to see if the cancer was in any of them. And that was how they would, and still to this day, they do it a different way, but they're still looking at your lymph nodes to tell whether or not the cancer has left your breast, right? And for other cancers, they look at lymph nodes for the same reason. They're looking to see where the cancer is in your body, right? I mean, we think about like when you get sick, this is the thing people know, like look at your swollen lymph nodes. That's probably the only time I knew anything about it.
Yeah.
But you have lymph nodes all over your body. And lymph fluid is what I've heard it explained as like the garbage system. It takes out all the unnecessary products in your body and helps to flush them out of your system.
Okay.
It's a clear fluid. It's superficial. It lays on top of your blood vessels. It does not have a heart that pumps it. It is moved by muscle and your movement. And what happens is, like for myself, so I had a section of lymph nodes removed. I had like, I think 11 lymph nodes removed out of my axillary underneath my armpit, right? And so what that means for me, 10 years after my diagnosis, my arm just was tight and heavy and hurt. Like I couldn't quite figure out what it was. I thought maybe I had like arthritis. I thought, I just couldn't quite put my finger on it because it was so far after my surgery. I'd heard about lymphedema, but I didn't really know what it was. So eventually I was diagnosed with lymphedema. And what that means is my body is not able to keep up with it produces more lymph than my body can move out of my arm. So for a lot of people, it happens in their extremities, in their arms and in their legs. Some people do get it in their trunk. You can get it in your neck. I mean, you can get it really anywhere where you have lymph, which is all over your body. But it just means it's hard to move. And so I get lymph stuck in this arm, and I can talk to you about how I manage it. But it is not super well known. And so that's why I'm here today, just to talk about it, because it does affect a lot of people and it's important to know.
That's great. So lymph, when you say lymph, that's the fluid that is held in the lymph nodes.
You actually think of like you have capillaries. I mean, it's not exactly, but think about like your vascular system.
Okay.
Your veins. So kind of like that. And it moves that fluid up into your lymph nodes. You have pockets here, you have them here.
Right.
And so this will get swollen, and that tells you something's going on in your body, right?
Okay.
Same difference. The cancer will have moved from for me, it was breast cancer, would have moved maybe over there. And then those lymph nodes were not only affected, like I had some of them removed. So that reduces the function right there.
Right.
Then I was radiated. So that probably impacted the function of the lymph nodes that were still there. They were no longer able to do what they needed to do, and therefore couldn't move the lymph through my body. You empty your lymph through your urine.
Oh.
And it comes out through your body.
Okay.
This kind of thing that you don't need. And it's an invisible system. So unlike blood in your blood vessels, it's superficial. It sits right underneath the surface of your skin. It's very right there, and has no color. And so it wasn't discovered or researched for a really long time because they just didn't know what it was, right?
Ah,
You
yeah.
kind of had to get into modern versus like the heart and the vascular system, they could see because it was like blood. So if you cut somebody open or if you were looking at a cadaver, you could recognize it.
Okay.
Lymphedema, lymph
Interesting.
is not, it's clear.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you mentioned that the way that your cancer was treated when you
Mhm.
were 28 is different than today. So with some
Yeah.
of the technology and knowledge, what's changed for people?
Well, a lot of things have changed around breast cancer. I'm going to tie it back into lymphedema because
Mhm.
that's a bigger conversation.
Yeah.
I think now what they do something for, and again, this is breast cancer specific. They do a sentinel node biopsy a lot of times. And so what they'll do now is they'll inject a dye into your breast tissue. I mean, I haven't had this done, so this is really secondhand information. And then they watch to see where that goes. And that's like that's your sentinel node. And so they'll just biopsy that node because the assumption is if it's not there, then it's not anywhere else.
Gotcha.
Versus
Okay.
when I was diagnosed, they like when I was having my mistake, and oftentimes they do that prior to the surgery because they're trying to figure out like where is this, it's just one of the many ways that they stage a cancer diagnosis. Versus mine was had my mastectomy and then they came out, and honestly, they at that point they weren't using that dye, so they just randomly selected. Like they couldn't even tell me how many lymph nodes they had removed until after the fact, and they sent them off to a lab. Now that stuff, a lot of that happens in real time in the operating room, and they have these dyes are super, super helpful, and it's led to more treatment. Treatment is the wrong word because that sounds like a cure, but it is a treatment in the sense that it's a management technique. They're getting better and better and having more options for that. And so that's interesting. Like for me, what I was allowed to do, the risk that they thought that I would be, like, here's an example. When I was diagnosed, they said to me, because you're at high risk for lymphedema, you should never exercise. You should never
What?
use that term again.
Mm.
I was like, you're insane. I mean, I'm not going to not use my arm.
Yeah.
It's not true. And that is not the advice today, right? That's
Wow.
not what they say to you, because now they understand more that you want to be careful. There are precautions that you want to take, but that moves with muscle. So that like exercise is actually really good to move lymph in your body, right? But again, they didn't know that then.
Yeah.
They do now. So I love that for people. I mean, that makes me super happy. And one of the questions that we ask at BRA when we have new members come into us is, have you been screened for lymphedema? And it used to be the way that they would screen for lymphedema, and this is still very common, and there's nothing wrong with this, but they actually do like a measurement. So they'll come in, like, again, I'm going to use my arm because that's where I have it. So they would measure in this certain standardized way, and it's a special little tool, but and they're trained, and that's great. Now they have a machine that's out there that measures fluid in your extremities. And so you just stand on what feels like a scale. It's very non-invasive. It takes like not even 5 minutes. And this like you don't feel it at all. You're just kind of holding your hands and standing on the scale, but it can measure fluid long before you can see it. So now they can also track like progress. So people will have this done over a period of months, and they establish your normal. It's like having a mammogram, right? Then they know you're normal, and they can compare it. So they can catch things much earlier. And if you catch it really early, it is reversible in that stage 0. That's really the only way you're going to catch it at a stage 0, right? Is if you're being followed, if you have that type. So I love that. I always tell people, not everybody has that machine, but I'm like, you need to ask for it. And if your provider doesn't have that, then I encourage people to continue to explore, maybe get a second opinion, because there are places that do have it. Not everybody does, but I think it's a tremendously important service, and how the preventative care for it and then the treatment for it is very different depending on your provider. and who you see. And so, unfortunately, like much of healthcare these days, it falls to the patient to be educated and to be your own advocate. And that's where Brawl likes to step in and walk with people, is to be that trusted resource and to provide the education so that you can make informed decisions. That's what we do across the board in all things breast cancer. But then again, specifically today, we're talking about lymphedema.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real quick, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Just to clear something up in my head. So you said that lymphedema occurs sometimes after cancer treatment, but do some people get it that haven't had cancer treatment?
10% of the cases, it can happen in people that don't have a cancer treatment. You know, I kind of look at it, somebody explained it to me, and this really helped me understand it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times you see older people will get it, they'll get lymphedema, and it'll be like that swelling. It's not, I'm not saying that's what the swelling always is,
Okay.
but you'll see it in their ankles, in their feet, in their arms. It can be different things, but it could be lymphedema.
Okay.
And the way it was explained to me was like most things in your body, this is like the function. Like here you are, right? You're born, you're here, your demand is here, right? And as you age, your function can decrease, right? And sometimes the demand can increase, but
Mm-hmm.
and then you'll just reach a tipping point where your body, for some people, the demand becomes more than your body can do. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so that was helpful to me. They're like, so you were up here and then we removed some of your lymph nodes. So that already bumped you down. And then we radiated those. So that bumped you down. And then and so eventually it just caught up with me and it flipped. If you look at photographs of lymphedema, like if you Google it, it will freak you out because it looks like elephantitis. It's huge. Like their arms are the size of my head. It's humongous. And I was like, what is happening? Like,
Yeah.
that's going to happen to me. And I've worked with a lot of phenomenal professionals in the Nashville area. And they were like, no, because you're already aware of it and you're not going to let it get there. Those are extreme cases where the people don't seek medical advice or they don't have they're not as privileged as I am to have the, access to and the finances to do, and to see specialists. And so I have a whole kit of the way that I manage lymphedema. But what's interesting to me is, like I said, I was 28 when I was diagnosed, and I did it for a year. And then I had to wait another year and a half to see if I could get pregnant, which I did. So that's my 24-year-old. I had my babies. We moved town. We came to Nashville. And I really kind of left breast cancer behind me, right? I was like, nobody here knows. And I'm good with that. I'm a young mom and that's my identity. And I'm going to do that for a while. But then I got this lymphedema diagnosis. And the first thing that you often do, like what I did, was I went to their physical therapy. Sorry, that word escaped me for a second. A physical therapist that has a particular certification. It's called a CLT, a certified lymphatic therapist. And you go and you see them, and they like the process is what they try to do is move your lymph from wherever it's stuck, right? So they manually do a massage. It's the softest massage. It's just very superficial. You can't feel that, but I'm telling you, like the first time I went, I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, this is very relaxing. But I was used to a massage where they get in there and kind of like work your muscles. Right. That is not this. It's this movement where they're doing kind of like this type of action. They're trying to move your lymph up into your lymph nodes, clear it. So there's this whole process, which I won't go into. But then you leave and they put a big compression garment around you. They wrap your arm. And it is very large. And it really makes your arm immobile. And you wear that for at least 24 hours. You shower and 2 days later, so every third day, you're going back in and you're doing it again. And every time they're measuring your arm until your arm stops decreasing in size. And at that time, then they're going to refer you to somebody who's going to get you a compression garment. And this is a garment. And what that does is it keeps the fluid from building up in your arm. Right. So a lot of people wear those preventatively. And, but so you're wearing a compression garment on your arm, or like when I began, I'm wearing this big, gauzy, crazy massive, huge, like doesn't fit in my clothing. I had to go buy special clothes. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
And every time Dick and Harry wanted to talk to me about it. So I'm in the grocery store, I'm picking my kids up from school, I'm at church, I'm walking my dog. It does not matter. People will stop, and it's wild to me that they feel this is appropriate. I had somebody come up to me in a restaurant in the middle of dinner that I did not know to interrupt me to say, "What's on your arm?"
What?
I was like, dude, really? I mean,
People are curious. They're
very
curious.
curious.
Mhm.
And so it really kind of became like I was wearing breast cancer on my sleeve.
Mm.
Like it was this thing that nobody knew, and then everybody knew.
Wow.
And it brought me back into like survivorhood. It's very much part of my story, because then I got curious, like, well, what does it look like now? I knew it probably looked different because it had been so long since I was diagnosed. And it had, and it does change. It's a dynamic field. And I'm so thankful for that. Like we were saying, the advances happen, and what you should and should not doing is constantly evolving and changing. And that's part of, again, where Brawl comes in, right?
Mhm.
Because we have trusted resources and experts, and they're continually updating the latest and the greatest so that we are able to be a resource for the breast cancer community that's trusted, that tells you, okay, well, this is true, or this is, you can follow this, or be cautious about this, that type of thing. Because as we all know now, you can you can validate any wild idea
Right.
on the
Right.
interwebs. And who do you trust
Right.
and who do you not trust is a big
Mhm.
issue.
Mhm.
And I think for me too, with the lymphedema, so I did that one compression, then I had the compression sleeves that I would wear, and then that wasn't working. And I had to keep going back because it wasn't managing my lymphedema. And so then they were like, well, maybe you need a night garment. So then they added, so now I have like this, I call it my oven mitt that I wear at night. It's a big, long garment. Then that worked for a little while. And then I added a pump. So I have this pneumatic pump. It's crazy. I have nicknames for everything. I call it my Michelin Man look. And honestly, spas have started doing this compression. Like I know like different places will have like they call it like a decompression therapy or something. There's like pants that you put on, and it moves like it has bands around it, and it moves the air kind of in this upward fat, like you kind of go down and then you go up. So it's like it's moving fluid in and out. It's relaxing. It's incredibly time consuming.
Oh.
I have to watch what I eat. I have to exercise regularly. I have all those modalities that I do, and swimming is great for it. This is the tie-in to the pool.
Okay.
So
Oh,
like,
yeah.
this girl needs a pool in her backyard.
Yeah.
I also now see a private practice certified lymphedema therapist every other week. So I get that type of massage. So it's a chronic condition. It will never go away. I will forever be doing this until they figure out a way to fix it, which they're working on. There are some options out there. None of them are particularly viable for me. They're not options that I'm like, I don't know. I wasn't a person who, obviously I used to wear glasses when I ran out and got LASIK. I'm like, let's do that for a while and make sure that I don't want to go blind.
Yeah.
I'm like, do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm a wait and see type of girl. And now that I've figured it out, but I think there's just a lot of unknowns. And for me to get that whole bucket of resources took about 5 years, because they don't want to overwhelm you, but they also just piecemeal it. And it was from random conversations and this person here and that person there. And it was incredibly frustrating for me, because I thought, why didn't someone just tell me all this in the beginning, kind of like lay out a roadmap and let me, help me to understand. There were just real huge holes. And I didn't feel like I had anybody, like my oncologist was who sent me to a lymphatic therapist, but it was just very confusing. Like who's tracking this?
Right.
Who's on top of this? It was me. I was doing all that. I had to figure it all out. I was the resource.
Wow.
And so from there is where this Living Better with Lymphedema event came.
Yeah, let's talk about that. That's coming up April 11th.
April 11th. So this is the second time that Brawl and Gildas of Middle Tennessee have come together to offer this event. We took a year off for scheduling reasons. We offered it in 2024, and now we're really excited to be back in 2026 and anticipate it being an annual event. But our goal is, and how, was previously, it's a one-stop shop. So it's open and free to the public to attend, and it's open to anybody who wants to be a vendor to also, there's an opportunity there. If you have a job, if you have a business that works or serves people with lymphedema, we would love to include you in that. And also just anybody who has lymphedema or cares for somebody with lymphedema. Doesn't matter how you have it or why you have it. And so we'll come together in the morning. We'll do a little introduction, debrief, a little programming, and then we'll break off and everyone can just visit all the vendors. And so we have like Vanderbilt, St. Thomas, Williamson, like the big, like the medical providers, of course. Then we have private CLTs, it's the private lymphatic therapist. And then we have support groups. We have an artist coming. We're going to have food and snacks. So it's meant to be a place that we can come into community as individuals who have experienced or been exposed to, lymphedema. Impacted is the word I want to say. It's also a fantastic opportunity for those professionals that work in that environment to be in a shared space. That's not why we started it, but that was the feedback we got after that first year of like, that was so great to meet the other people that are like, they're not in the shared space very often. So they got a lot out of it. And so it was a community building for everybody, it's not. And so I'll see people with that compression garment. As a breast cancer survivor, one of the precautions you're supposed to do is wear that when you're flying. And I travel a lot. My husband's a pilot. And so we're on a lot of flights.
Oh. And
I will see people with that. And I know. This is how I walk up. I'm like, got lymphedema? Because it's not that common. You know it, and you
but
have
the signs. Yeah.
I know the signs. Yeah. So I like bond with those people right away. I get you. See you. So it's a free event. It'll happen from 10 to 1. We ask for people to RSVP. If you're interested in being a vendor, please, reach out to me directly. It's just also nice to be with other people living with a chronic condition. It is taxing and it's hard, and people have different tips and tricks. And it's just, I really believe we're designed to be with others and to be in community, and no one needs to do any of this alone. I don't think it works. So I'd love to provide opportunities for connection, and this is a great one.
That's awesome.
That's amazing. Yeah. Y'all do excellent work in the community, and this is specific outreach that I think is even has added value because, like you said, it's getting some of the experts together who can then collaborate perhaps and continue to build even better resources for you. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah. We were just, like I said, it was, I was approaching it from a perspective of me, a person with lymphedema. So I was just kind of thinking of those people, but that it had the double whammy, as soon as they were in that space, you could see that magic happening. And that was just tremendous. I mean, I love that for everyone.
Well, you're the perfect person to do this. I mean, you're the type of person that will do your research. You understand, you advocate for yourself, and you've learned, and you're willing to share all this information and help others learn. And, some people just don't have that. They don't want to do all the research. They don't know how to do it. And so you allowing the space for people to come together and learn and feel, this community around that. We talked about that with Janae and Lynn when we talked about bra groups, how important community is and how important it is to be able to walk alongside people that have done what you've done, and also people that are ahead of you and are trusted, and they've done the research and they know what's going on. So thank you so much for doing that for this group of people. And again, the event is April 11th from 10 to 1 at the Gilda's Club, Middle Tennessee. It's on Division Street. In the show notes, we're going to put the information. We'll also put your email, Namaste, if that's okay for people, if you're a vendor out there, or if you're interested in going and learning more. So we'll make sure that everyone has a way to connect with you.
And, if you don't have lymphedema, but you're a breast cancer survivor, like you had said that, we're an organization that is designed by survivors for survivors, and we're all about community first. Our programming offerings are education, this is an example of one way that shows up, but exercise, nutrition, and emotional wellness. And we have a lot of opportunities for people to get plugged in And like we've been saying, community is everything. And thank you for welcoming me into your community on this podcast today. I really appreciate it.
Sure. We'll put links for bra groups too, because that's an amazing organization. And we just thank you for all your work. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So nice to meet you, Stacey.
Yeah.
Nice
and
to
I
meet
hope
you
your
too.
event is amazing. So I know it will be. I will. Thanks, Namaste.
Okay.
Thanks everyone for listening today. It was a very interesting conversation, and we hope you'll join us back here again in a couple of weeks at the Fresh Start Podcast. Bye.
Bye.
This episode has been brought to you by God and My Girlfriend's Ministries. If you're looking for a faith-based community where everyone is accepted, all beliefs are welcome, and no judgment, check out godandmygirlfriendsministries.org, where you can find more information about our book clubs, both online and in person, upcoming retreats, and all the events in your area. You can also find out about one of our favorite things that we do, our Single Moms Christmas Blessing Ministry. So go check out godandmygirlfriendsministries.org. We would love to have you a part of our community.